So children, today we'll start with the poetry A Tiger in the Zoo by Leslie Norris. Children, have you ever seen a tiger? The king of the jungle? Why is the king of the jungle, children? As the tiger is strong, valorous, powerful and energetic, isn't it? But have you ever seen a tiger in a zoo? Is it the same valorous, powerful, and energetic animal? No. The poem written by Leslie Norris explains the agony and the helplessness of a caged tiger that lives in a zoo. The poet explains what his life could be if he had been a free animal. The poet has tried to explain about the condition of animals that are caged by human beings for their own fun. Now, before we start the poem, I would tell you something about the poet. Leslie Norris was a prize-winning Welsh poet and a short story writer. Until 1972, he earned his living as a college lecturer, teacher and headmaster. From 1974, he combined full-time writing with his residencies at academic institutions in Britain and United States. He was born in 1921. By profession, he was a poet and a writer. He died in 6th April 2006. His nationality was Wales in Britain. Now, what is the message we are getting from this poem? Each and every chapter comes up with a moral. The moral we should learn because it helps in shaping our soul. He compares the life of a tiger in the zoo and its life in its natural habitat. The poet conveys an important message that the wild animals should be in their natural habitat. Means they should be in the jungle, in the forest. In the poem, he heightens the contrast between the freedom and captivity. So, what are the objectives of this poem? Behind the bars of the zoo, the tiger can only hear the sound of patrolling cars and stare at the brilliant stars with his brilliant eyes, recalling his days spent in the jungle. So the poem enables the students to understand the importance of freedom, children, the danger of deforestation and blessings of forestation. Now, before I start the poetry, as I always ask you in the class that you should give a silent reading, because as I'm not with you in the class, so close your eyes. I'll just read aloud the poem once. Hear it. Don't get deviated anywhere. He stalks in his vivid stripes the steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where a plump deer pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So here I have provided a picture also of a tiger behind the bars of a cage. Now I would narrate the summary of the poem. A tiger in the zoo. The poem begins with a description of a tiger that is very beautiful and is walking in his little cage. He has beautiful stripes on his skin and has velvet like soft paws. But the tiger is not happy and is quite angry about being confined in the cage. The poet says that if the tiger was not confined to the zoo cage, he would have been hiding himself behind the long grass near some water body in order to catch its prey, that is the deer. Also, he would have terrorized the residents of the village around the forest area. But the reality is totally opposite to this. He was confined in a cage which was made up of strong building material, and he was helpless there. He could not show his power to the visitors, therefore, never try to terrorize them. The tiger is described as being powerless and agonized by the poet. He says that during night also he is alone, hearing the voice of the patrolling vehicles. Patrolling means moving vehicles of police and looking at the stars. The cage life has totally changed the tiger's personality. The tiger is trying to say that the animal which is famous for its fearlessness and freedom is confined and sad due to the human beings who want to derive pleasure by looking at him in the zoo cage. Now, I think by now you have understood about the poem. Now I'll be going with the paraphrase explanation. Children, be very careful. You can have your pencils because you can mark the new words, and with the paraphrase explanation I'll be doing the discussion of the poetic devices also. So you can write the poetic devices. If you are not having your books, you can do it when you will get your books. So are you ready? Yes. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. Rage means anger. Stalks means follow. You can say move also. Vivid means bright colors. Pads means paws of a tiger. Now, here the poet says that the tiger that is confined in the zoo moves around in the cage under his bright colored skin. He further says that the tiger can take only a few steps because the cage is small and it is not easy to move in it because the tiger is confined in the concrete walls of the cage. One cannot hear his footsteps because he has very soft feet, like the velvet, because of which there is no sound of tiger's footstep. The tiger tries to control his anger but quietly walking in the limited area of the cage. He is angry because he is not free. So now I'll come up with the literary device of stanza 1, para 1. The rhyme scheme: cage, rage, cage, rage. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. Alright? Personification. The tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he. So what did I say? What is personification? When the human qualities are put in any inhuman, it is personification. So when we use he, means the tiger is just personified as a human being. Alright? Now metaphor. Tiger's paw are compared with velvet. Pads of velvet. Pads of velvet. You can see pads of velvet. Here we haven't used any words like, as, such as, isn't it? See, the pads means the paws of the tiger, velvet, the soft texture. So these two are having a similarity, hidden similarity. So this is metaphor. Alright? Now, enjambment. Sentence is continuing to the next line without any punctuation mark. This I have been explaining it in each and every poem, that when the line ends, a line in a poetry ends without any punctuation, it is enjambment. Imagery. The poet tries to create an image about the tiger. We are not seeing the tiger now, children, isn't it? But we can all visualize a tiger, isn't it? He stalks in his vivid stripes. He stalks in his vivid stripes. The few steps of his cage. So we are imagining this, isn't it? Now assonance and consonance. Consonance is use of S sound. Stalks. His S is there for stalks. Then his S, stripes S. Alright? Assonance, use of a vowel sound I. In, his, vivid, stripes. In, I, his, I, vivid, I, stripes, I. Is that clear? Oxymoron, use of adjective opposite in meaning. Like when the two words, they're sitting beside each other having an opposite meaning. Quite, rage. Quite is the adjective here. So the rage is means anger. Now how an anger can be quiet? So it is having an opposite in meaning. So this is oxymoron. Now let us come to the stanza 2, para 2. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plump deer pass. Lurking means to be hidden as to wait for the prey. You must have seen in the Animal Planet, in the TV channel, isn't it? We have seen how the tiger hides behind the long grasses and waits for the prey to come, then it pounces on the prey. So you just imagine, children. All right? The poet says that if this tiger was free, he would have hid himself behind the long grass near the water bodies, so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of a tiger is to live in jungle where he could catch his prey and eat it, but the tiger in the cage cannot do so. You can see a beautiful picture of a plump deer here. So none of us, we want to stay captivated, isn't it? Are we all enjoying our captive life inside the room in this quarantine period? No, we are just like the caged tiger. We are just talking inside the walls of our houses, and we want to break through. Nobody enjoys captivity, children. Now let me discuss the literary device of para 2. The rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. Grass, pass. Is that clear? Grass, pass. The enjambment, the line continues to the next line without punctuation marks. Sliding, dot dot, deer, pass. Alliteration, use of P at the start of the two words. Plump, pass. Plump, pass. Purple, plump, pass. Imaginary, the poet has tried to create an image of tiger's activity, like this lurking in the shadow, moving in the shadow. Now we'll come to the third paragraph. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. The new words of this paragraph, they are snarling, means warning sound made by the animals. Baring means uncovered. Fangs means sharp tooth of animals. So the explanation, the poet says that if the tiger would have been free, he would have snarled around the houses located at the outskirts of the forest. He would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws. This would create fear among the people living in the villages. I think you would like the picture of the tiger, the striped tiger. Now the literary device used in this paragraph, the third paragraph, the rhyme scheme of this paragraph is A, B, C, B. The rhyme scheme is followed: edge, village. Alright, edge, village. Enjambment, the line continues to the next line without punctuation marks. The example here, he should be snarling around houses. There is no punctuation after this. At the jungle's edge. Now, onomatopoeia, using the words which denote sound. Snarling, snarling of the animal, snarling of the tiger. Okay, pitter patter, raindrops, that is onomatopoeia. When it denotes the words which denotes any sound, it is onomatopoeia. Assonance, use of vowel sound O and I. Should, around houses. O, should, O, around O, houses, O. The next I is barring, I, his eye, white eye, his eye. So here is the assonance. Assonance means repetition of vowel sound. Consonance, the repetition of consonant sound. S, his, S, fangs, S, his, again S, claws, S. Children, this time I am just explaining the device, a literary device with the stanza so that you can be more clear about it. Now the para 4. But he locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring the visitors. The new words are concrete, building made of bricks, cement, sand and water. Now the poet comes to the reality of the tiger that is inside the cage. He says the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is made of strong building material. He further says that as the tiger is behind the bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bars. He just stalks in the cage. He never tries to terrorize the visitor because his power is restricted by the cage. Therefore, he never tries to terrorize the visitors as he cannot attack them. Now the literary device of para 4th, the rhyme scheme A, B, C, B. Yes, rhyme scheme is followed. Bars, visitors. Alright. Now personification. The tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he. Assonance used of vowel sound E. He locked. Locked, you can see he E is there, then locked E is there, concrete E is there, cell E is there. Consonants, repetition of consonant sound. So S, his is there, strength is there S, bars is there S. Now alliteration, use of sound B at the start of two words behind bars, BB, behind bars, B. This is alliteration. Now here again there is a beautiful picture of a tiger behind the bars in a cage. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So what is a new word we can learn from here? It's patrolling. Patrolling means to guard, to vigil. Alright? The poet says that in the night the tiger hears the sound of the patrolling cars. The patrolling cars are the vehicles of the police which are used to guard at night. So in the night the tiger hears the sound of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. From where he stares, children? From inside the cage, behind the bars. The poet wants to say that the tiger is sad as he is confined in the cage, so he cannot do anything. Therefore, he stares at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts towards them. How poor is the tiger inside the cage. Now we'll discuss the literary device of para 5th. The rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. Is followed by cars, stars. Alright, SS. Enjambment. Line 3 continues to line 4 without any punctuation mark. And stares with his brilliant eyes. We don't have any punctuation marks after this. At the brilliant stars. Now alliteration, use of H in the starting of the two words. He hears, her, H. Assonance, use of I sound. With, I is there. His, I is there. Brilliant, I is there. So with this we complete the explanation of this poem. I hope you have understood and you have enjoyed learning this poem. Thank you, children.